Here we go again. Oh my God. Hmm. Peace. Everything gonna be all right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Motor City Tokyo. Today, I want to tell you all about my COVID-19 experience here in Tokyo and the symptoms that I had. They were much different than the standard symptoms that I've heard along these last several months or year since COVID-19's come out about a year ago. At first, for 2 weeks, I just had I felt like I had hay fever because I was just blowing my nose constantly for 2 weeks. And looking back on it, that was the beginning of COVID, because that was the beginning of COVID-19 for me, because that was the first time I've ever felt like that. I didn't feel sick. I just was wondering, why is my nose running constantly? So I just kept tissue nearby, and I didn't think nothing of it, you know. I just kept blowing my nose, you know, constantly. And then one day I had a serious headache. And I don't know if the headache came first or fever, but I know I had them both. I think the headache came, and the headache was so bad that I'm going to explain it in detail. A lot of people never really explain how the COVID-19 headache feels. If you can take one strand of hair and pull it, you would feel that pinch, right? Now take all the strands of hair and do the same thing with it. It's like you're pulling all your hair, but for me, it felt like 1,000,000 syringes were just in my head at once. And yeah, I felt like I was getting 1,000,000 shots for the measles or something in my head at the same time. So it felt so bad, and it started to feel like even my hair was heavy and contributing to the problem and making the needles feel more in depth and more strong, like the needles had more power, because at the time it makes your head becomes so sensitive, like you can feel each strand of hair in your head. You can feel that strand of hair is a living thing, and you can feel it pinching you. So all the hair is, it was just really dynamic type of feeling that I never had before from all the types of headaches I've had before. I've never had that ever in my life. So that headache was so bad, and it made my hair feel like it was so heavy, where I ran to the bathroom and just got the clippers and just cut all my hair off. Right there. I just cut it all off. And it did relieve some of the pain. It made it feel much better, because my head was so sensitive that I could feel the heaviness of my hair, but I can feel each strand of hair just pinching me or punching my brain like a 1,000,000 syringes in my head. So, but before that actually happened, I'm thinking back now, I had a fever. Yes, I did have the fever. And yeah, I had the fever. So I went to the clinic, the Japanese clinic, and they said, "You have COVID." I said, "What? I didn't think I had COVID at the time." I said, I'm not coughing or anything." They said, "We think you have COVID." So I said, "All right." So they gave me some pills for the temperature reducing pills, and they said, "I'll just take these, go home, take these pills, and you'll be all right." So after that, that's when a few days later I started getting this. That's when I got the serious headache and went to the bathroom and cut all my hair off. So during that time, I'm in the bed. I'm thinking, hey, they send everybody home for this stuff. So they sent me home as well. So I said, all right, I just have to stay home and fight it off, and I'll be all right. But things were getting worse and worse and worse. I was in the bed with fevers. Like, my fevers were so high that I can feel it just taking all of the water, wringing all of the water out of my body like a sponge, and my lips exploded, and I had no moisture. My lips just exploded, and they were busted open like I've been in a fight with Mike Tyson or something. That was strange. And one day I woke up and my whole bed was just like a mattress full of water. It was just a puddle of, it was just wet. And I said, man, this is getting serious. But I still tried to stick it out because they said, hey, go home and you'll be all right. Just wait, just stay, self quarantine, as they were saying, right? So that's what I did. I just self quarantined, and I was just doing my best to survive and get through it. So another day, fevers come, and COVID, from my experience, it feels like COVID is a person inside your body. And the reason I feel that way is because, well, I know there's no person inside me, but I felt that this COVID-19 is like a entity or something. That's how bad it was, It's because every day I would wake up and say, oh my God, I feel much better. So I'm getting over this. I'm getting better and better. But at nighttime, as soon as you go to bed, then the COVID comes back. Comes back and says, oh, you thought I was gone? It just comes back and the fever start. And then the next day, you say, wow, I got over that. I feel better. But then after so many days of these high temperatures, and they going away in the morning when you get up and say, all right, when you try to get up and feel better, and you think you've gotten a step further, as soon as you get ready to go to sleep, it says, oh, you want to rest? You think you're going to go to sleep now? And then it starts. And so just imagine going through that for like weeks and weeks. And some people were trying to compare it to the flu. And I had the flu before, and I was praying that I had the flu when I had COVID, because the COVID is, the temperatures are higher, the fevers last longer. And for people who have the serious COVID, I had the serious COVID. I fought it off, but I was heading to that respirator for sure. I'm getting to that. So I was here, and I was just about 2 weeks and just taking the pills that the doctors gave me. And finally, I felt great. So I was coughing a little bit. So I went back to the clinic and I said, hey, I'm just coughing a little bit. I took all the pills you guys gave me, and they said, you took all those pills? You still, you're coughing? And I said, yeah, I'm just coughing a little bit. I just want some pills for my cough. And they took my temperature, and they said, "You are sick as a dog." You are sick. But I thought, wait a minute, I feel great compared to the last 2 weeks of all the high fevers. But when they took my temperature, it was so high, and they said, "Hey, we have to send you to the hospital right now." I said, "I feel great. I walked a mile to the clinic compared to the temperatures and the fevers and all the things I've been through. I thought I was fully recovered." But when they took my temperature and, the oxygen levels in my blood and all that, they said, "You have to go. They wrote a letter really fast, like a recommendation. Take this guy now," something like that. And so that's what I did. That's when I went to the hospital. But before I went to the hospital, before that final day, let me tell you about some crazy symptoms that I had. My symptoms were not the headache with the pins and all that. I hear about that one. I hear about the runny nose or the sniffling and stuff. But my nose was really running a lot. But my symptoms were, if I would eat even a noodle or a bite of a hot dog, anything with the slightest amount of sodium, you might as well be giving me a bucket of salt. I couldn't even lick it. That's how bad it was. My taste senses were increased times 10,000. And I'm not joking. I could bite something and it tastes like I just bit into a rock of salt. So my taste buds did not disappear like everybody else. And I keep asking around, "Hey, have anybody had increased taste sensation?" I've been, oh my God, I couldn't eat anything because everything tasted like salt. So instead of losing my taste increased times 10,000. And as far as smell, I had 5 oranges sitting 2 rooms away from my bedroom, right? I had 5 oranges, unpeeled oranges, just sitting on the table like you do when you have fruit in your house. But when I would go to bed, those oranges were so annoying, so irritating. They just bothered me so much that I had to get up and put the oranges in the refrigerator so I wouldn't smell them anymore. My smell increased so much where if I was a drug dog at that time, I would have found everything. I'd be like, there's the heroin, there's the cocaine, there's the marijuana, right? It was so my taste and smell increased. And I've been looking for hey, have anyone ever had those symptoms? That's what I was experiencing. I didn't lose taste or I didn't lose smell at all. My taste and smell increased 10,000% or thousands and thousands of percentages. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys as far as my strange symptoms compared to everybody else who are losing taste, and they were saying that people with O blood can fight it off, but I have O negative blood. So maybe that has something to do with why my senses for smell and taste, it went the opposite way. I could taste more and smell more, and it was just so bad. It was just as bad to smell everything so far away, and to taste like that is just as bad as losing the taste. It's like having when you go to a restaurant or somebody make you some food and you say, "Oh my God, you put up too much salt, it's salty." No, just add another bucket of salt onto that, and that's how it felt. Now, let's fast forward. Okay, now after all this, when I went to the clinic to get some pills, they sent me to the doctor. They said, "Hey, they sent me to the hospital, and they said, hey, you're just a mess. You're done. You have to go to the hospital now. So I went to the hospital, and it was kind of hilarious the way they did it, because when I got to the hospital, they said, wait here, and they got a chair. And I was sitting outside the hospital in a chair by myself. And it was kind of cool that day. I don't know. Or I felt a little cold, but I'm sitting out there in the chair, like, waiting. So they had to wait for some special doctor from the COVID team to come get me, escort me up to the 6th floor and take me to my private room. Now, after I settled in and they took me, okay, this is what's different with Japan and the USA from what I've seen. In the USA, they'll send you home and you go home and die. A lot of people died that way. Or they tell you to come back when you can't breathe. That was the wrong way, because when I went to the hospital, the first thing they did was put me in a machine and did an MRI, and x-rayed my whole body inside and out. And immediately, they found something. I'm going to get to this. But imagine if they had told me, hey, go back home and just come back when you can't breathe, I would have died for sure. I would have died, because later on that day in the hospital, I said, doctor, what are we going to do about this COVID? And because of the MRI they gave me, he knew this other information. He said, hey, he's laughing first. I said, what are we going to do about this COVID, doctor? And he's laughing, because Japanese doctors, they give it to you straight. He's laughing. I said, what are you laughing about? He made me start laughing. I was talking like this. I could barely talk, And he says, Mr. Darby, he said, COVID is the least amount of problems that you have. And I said, what? He said, you have 3 problems, and COVID is the last one on the list. And I said, whoa, what's worse than that? He said, you have pneumonia, serious pneumonia, and you have 2 blood clots in your lungs. 2 blood clots. Even 1 blood clot in your lung will kill you. He said, you have 2 blood clots in your lungs, and you have pneumonia. And then after that, we'll start worrying about COVID. So really, COVID. So when you all see people had the heart attacks, and you're saying that hospitals did this and changed all the numbers and all that, COVID causes all that. COVID makes your blood like jelly. So my blood was getting thicker. So your blood is supposed to be, for example, your blood is supposed to be 0.5, like half of 1. So 0.05 or minus 0.05 or something like that. My blood thickness level was 39 when I got there. It's supposed to be half of 1, but it was 39. So they immediately put me on the blood thinning pills because of that. Blood thinning pills because of these blood clots that I had in my lungs. And they put me on some medication for the pneumonia and all that. So really, I fought all of that. And they put me on the oxygen immediately, but not the respirator. I could still talk and talk like this, with shortness of breath, but it wasn't stopping me from breathing. Luckily, I didn't get all the way to the point of that respirator down my throat. But if I had stayed home a couple more days, I would have been to that point. But I could see clearly how I could have died from the COVID-19. So those were the symptoms. That's what happened to me. I fought through it. I must have been very close to death, because everybody I called while I was in the hospital on the messenger, they were like, oh my God, please don't die. But I said, oh, she's crazy. Let me call somebody else. And then the next person would say, Colin, don't die, don't die. I mean, and then after I got out the hospital, everyone said, yeah, I looked like I was done. I looked like I was done. But I guess I fought my way back from a long battle of all those issues that I had. I got through them. But after I got out the hospital, I had to take blood thinning medicine for 3 months. I had to take one pill a day for 3 months, and I had to keep going back to the hospital. And they would say, no, your blood, no, not yet. And go back another month later, no, one more month. And then finally, my blood is back to normal. It took me about 3 months to start, or 4 months to really start breathing right. Because sometimes I would wake up, at night and try to catch my breath, even though I was cured of COVID, So it was just a nightmare getting COVID, dealing with it in the hospital, eating Japanese food in the hospital, which I don't like. And finally, I'm back to health. I'm ready to, continue my life. While I was in the hospital, God and the heavens and the angels gave me a perfect, wonderful business idea that I've been working on ever since I got out the hospital. I wrote my business plan while I was in the hospital. So, what's meant to be is meant to be. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the information that I gave you. I hope it could be helpful to someone. And if someone else had the same symptoms, put it in the comment section. I want to hear about it, because I can't find anyone that had increased smell and taste like I had during my experience of having COVID. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in. As I say always, chill the most from coast to coast, and try not to eat too much breakfast toast.